What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rosie TV, and today we have a very different episode. It's going to be a transfer special. It's not even July yet, but there's a lot of teams that are doing work in the transfer market, and we're just going to look at 5 of the biggest signings so far and grade them based on price, how valuable they are to the team, and etc. Look for these types of videos every single week for the rest of the transfer window. But right now, let's get started with the first player I want to talk about, Lindelof, 22 years old. He's transferred from Benfica to Manchester United. It cost United 35 million euros. I do think United needed a center back to partner Eric Bailly. I mean, they have guys like Jones, Smalling, and Blind, but I'm not sure any of them are actually good enough to start for this team. I think Blind is really good, but he does lack a lot of size to play at center back. And with Bailly being 23 years old, now you have another young center back to partner him. And I think it's really good that Mourinho is giving some of these younger guys a chance. We all know he's been criticized before in the past about playing more of the established players. And that's not to say that Lindelof is not already established. He has established himself in the Portuguese league. He's won the past 2 Portuguese league titles. But looking at his stats, he's not much of a tackler. He averages 0.6 tackles per game, which is pretty poor for a center back, compared to Eric Bailly's 2.4 tackles per game. However, he is a very good passer of the ball. He averages about 62.2 passes per game, which is a lot more than Bailly's 35 passes per game, which just shows these guys are basically opposites, which I think is perfect for a center back pairing. Bailly will be your tough tackler. Lindelof will be more of the player that reads the game well, as well as starting plays from the back. There's a lot of potential in this duo, and this could possibly be another Vidic, Rio Ferdinand partnership for United. I don't want to jump the gun quite yet, but there's a lot of potential with these two. So for this transfer, I'm going to give it a B. As I said earlier, United needed a center back. They definitely got a good one here. It wasn't the biggest transfer tag, 35 million euros. In this market, that's not even that much. I'm just interested to see how he plays with Bailly and how he adjusts to the rigorous Premier League. Next player I want to talk about, Bernardo Silva, 21 years old, from Porto to Milan. One of the 4 players Milan has already bought. With this amazing new ownership, we're getting in a lot of players. I'm really excited for this signing as a Milanista. He cost them 38 million euros. And looking at some of his statistics, you could tell this guy's already a stud at 21 years old. In the league this season, he scored 16 goals and has 5 assists. And in the Champions League, he scored 4 goals and 2 assists. What's also really impressive is in his 8 Portugal appearances, he has 7 goals. Ronaldo's talked really highly of Bernardo Silva, saying that Portugal is in good hands after Ronaldo retires. He's a good finisher. He's a good passer of the ball. He averages 1.2 key passes per game. And Milan do lack a lot of creativity in the final third. Carlos Bacca is a very one-dimensional striker. He can score you goals inside the box. He's a very good poacher, but his first touch isn't great. He's not a great passer of the ball. But this guy, Bernardo Silva, you can tell with his assist numbers, with his key pass numbers, that he can bring creativity inside Milan's final third. And he has a goal contribution, which is either a goal or an assist every 113 minutes, which is great for such a young player. Fantastic signing for Milan. They needed a striker, and they're not even in the Champions League, and managed to get Bernardo Silva to come to the club where he plays for Porto, a team that's going to be in the Champions League next season. So for this signing, I'm going to give it an A-. The reason why it's not an A is because this is his breakout season, and they did pay 38 million euros, which again in this market isn't a lot. But if he ends up flopping, which I hope he doesn't, obviously, a lot of people are going to look back at this price tag and say this was a lot of money to give out for a player who only had really 1 good season. Next, I'm going to move on to Florentin Tolisso, who transferred from Lyon to Bayern Munich. He's 22 years old, and it cost Bayern 41.5 million euros. He's a very versatile midfielder, can play anywhere in that midfield, central midfield, defensive midfield, and he's also played behind the striker in a number 10 role. But he's more of a box-to-box midfielder. Looking at his statistics this season, he has 12 goals and 7 assists in Champions League, Europa League, as well as the league. 1.6 key passes per game, 1.8 tackles per game. But I wonder where he's going to be played. Obviously, with Xabi Alonso retiring, he could possibly take up that spot in the midfield. It could be Vidal, Tolisso, Thiago Alcantara as a midfield three. But I'm not sure he can play the role of Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso is more of a sitting midfielder who's going to dictate play, while Tolisso is more of a box-to-box midfielder. Tolisso was linked with a lot of clubs. He was linked with Milan. He was linked with Juventus. He was linked with Chelsea. So I think it was a great grab by Bayern Munich. I'm going to give it an A- for the transfer. The reason why it's not an A is because Bayern do have Joshua Kimmich and Renato Sanchez in midfield, but Kimmich might take that right back spot from Philipp Lahm. Renato Sanchez didn't get many minutes last season, which was unfortunate because they paid so much for him. Let's not forget they also got Sebastian Rudy from Hoffenheim, who could play in a defensive midfield role. I do think Tolisso is great for the depth of the team, but I do think he needs to start for this club, so I wonder where they're going to play him. So for now, he's going to get an A-. Next, we're going to move on to two Manchester City signings. We're going to start off with Ederson, the goalkeeper, 23 years old, transferred from Benfica to Manchester City for 40 million euros. He's a great shot stopper, one of the best in the Portuguese league. But you know Pep Guardiola wants his goalkeepers to play in a certain way. He wants them to be comfortable with the ball at their feet. That's why he brought in Bravo from Barcelona last season. Looking at Ederson's past statistics from last season, he had a 65.3% pass success rate compared to Bravo, who had a 72.6% pass success rate. But I'm sure with the right coaching, that statistic could get higher for Ederson. And while Bravo was great with the ball at his feet, he's not the best shot stopper as we saw last season. So for this signing, I'm going to give it a B+. Finally, we're going to end off with Bernardo Silva, probably the biggest signing so far in the transfer window. He's 22 years old. He cost 50 million euros to bring him from Monaco. And looking at his stats from last season in the league and the Champions League, he had 10 goals and 10 assists, which is fantastic for such a young player. He averaged 1.5 key passes per game, 2 dribbles per game, and he's very versatile. He could play on the right, which is where he played for Monaco. He could also play on the left, and he could play at the number 10 role behind the striker. But however, Manchester City have a lot of attacking players. They have Sané, they have Sterling, they have Aguero, they have David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus. So where does Bernardo Silva fit in this mix? Now it depends on the formation Guardiola is going to go with next season, but if he does go with a 4-1-4-1, which he played for a lot of last season, you could see Bernardo Silva partnering Kevin De Bruyne in that free 8 role above the central midfielder. So this Bernardo Silva signing looks to be a David Silva replacement because David Silva is getting a little bit up there in age. He's not too old. He's only in his early 30s, but we all know how much Guardiola loves to use these younger players. But he could also play Silva on the wing if Sterling or Sané are injured, but it largely just depends on the formation that Guardiola is going to use. So because of that, I'm going to give it a B. I think it's a good signing, but I think they should have focused more on getting fullbacks. They'll probably end up getting fullbacks nonetheless, but a lot of people were confused with this signing because of all the attacking talent Manchester City already have. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the 5 signings that I talked about today. Let me know your thoughts on every single signing in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe for more football content, and thank you for watching Rosie TV.